I'm Diana Wentworth.
Yeah, you are.
And at 82, there's no question that I'm the elder in this group. I was born on March 4th, 1941, and I've been marching forth ever since. Right here to this stage and to you. And I have to tell you that the view from here is pretty astonishing. So right now, I'm creating a whole new encore for myself. I was widowed 2 years ago for the second time. And now I'm all alone for the first time. So I get to invent an encore of my own. This is going to be pretty wild, I promise you, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about wealth. I've been thinking about wealth and what it is. And there's two kinds of wealth. There's wealth that fills up your bank account, and there's wealth that fills up your heart. And
Yeah.
if you have the first and you don't have the second, well, you're not truly wealthy, but you're solvent. So I'm here to talk about heart-centered wealth. We make decisions from our heart, and those contain a certain kind of magic. And I've just had so much magic flow into my life. It's unbelievable. Like the time when I met Elvis Presley and we became friends for 2 years. And no, ladies, I'm not giving any details about that. And then there was the time when I became the first co-author in the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. That was amazing. And then very surprisingly, I got to be a citizen ambassador into the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. And that created a dialogue between Americans and Russians that led to some kind of an opening that led to diplomatic change. And it changed my life forever. So first as a child and then as an adolescent, I had these moments. It would be like the sun would come out and it would illuminate everything, and then it would just disappear. But in that moment, I realized something that I really knew was true. It was amazing. It was just moments of intuition. Intuition is unexplainable, but these moments come to us and we can learn to develop these things. So when I was in college, I dated a very attractive man. And he seemed kind of like a Prince Charming on a white charger. But in his case, he was the heir to a great fortune, and his white charger was a silver Ferrari. So everybody that I knew and my mom, they all thought this would make an enviable match. And so we were soon engaged. But I began to notice something. I realized that he was much more attracted to how decorative I was than to the real me. And I knew that I wanted something so much more than that. You know, and it's hard to walk away from something that everybody is telling you makes sense. But I did it anyway. I broke the engagement. I knew that the kind of soul partner that I wanted was out there somewhere. I knew that I would meet him. I knew that I'd meet him soon. But it happened in a way that I never, ever could have imagined. It happened one morning in a hotel in Hong Kong. It was very early in the morning, and I had a sudden knowing that I needed to be downstairs in the lobby. I didn't know why. I got dressed, I put on a really special dress. I went down and I stood in the lobby in this particular place, and it was in that very place that I met Paul von Wellness. He was as handsome as a movie star and as soulful as a monk. Beautiful man. We were engaged in 3 days. You know, when you have a certain kind of knowing, hesitation and doubt, they just drop away. So how can you call this anything but magic? And so we had an intuitive marriage. It was just amazing. The interesting thing was that we actually had no idea how to make a living. So that was a bit of a challenge. But I loved cooking. I had always loved cooking. I had studied cooking for years. And we both loved hosting. We loved inviting people over for dinner, especially when the conversation and the connection around the table was as important as the food. And then out of that mutual love, we built a career. We wrote 6 best-selling cookbooks. We had a school where Wolfgang Puck taught and all the other great LA chefs. We won the Cookbook of the Year award. And then we even had our own television show. It was called The New Way Gourmet. And it was fun, it was fulfilling for 15 years. Until it wasn't. The market changed. We had no idea what we were going to do, but I was pretty used to asking. You know, I think we have to ask and we have to listen. There's so much more going on with this quantum field that they talk about. There's a way of tuning in. And I remember just pacing back and forth and saying, tell me what to do. And then I came up with what was really kind of a quantum question, actually. I said, how can we use our hosting skills to light up this world? How can we make a difference? What can we do hosting? And then, thought, what if we don't have to cook the food in order to gather people together? And that was a big breakthrough. That was just a huge breakthrough. This didn't happen overnight. I mean, this wasn't like I asked and I found out right away. But I began to get little glimpses of things. I saw a beautiful big ballroom and I saw that it was full of people. And I knew that Paul and I had created it, and it wasn't a church. I knew it was some kind of human potential organization. And everybody was so excited that we had created it. And they were so grateful for that. So I knew this was a really good idea. We got excited about it. We'd been to some networking things, and they'd been really empowering for us. And in the East Coast, networking was just starting. They were having power breakfast, and I thought, power breakfast, cool. What else is anybody else doing in the morning? We'll start at 6:30. So at 6:30 every week, we had a meeting on Tuesday, and then a meeting on Wednesday in Orange County, and a meeting in San Diego on Thursday. And all sorts of amazing people came and showed up. They just showed up. I mean, this is word of mouth. We're talking 1985. There was no internet. You know, we had to send everything out by snail mail. It was really amazing. We actually could do that. And people began to show up. And some of these people were pretty amazing. You know their household names, these people. And it was just so much fun. We were hosting, we were bringing people together. I'd had a terribly lonely childhood. I'd always wanted to be received by people. I always wanted to be part of a group. And then I could put people together and watch what began to happen when they connected and they started sharing resources. I mean, it was the coolest thing in the world. So the Inside Edge grew very, very, very quickly. And over 35 years, we hosted 1,500 speakers. Nobody ever turned me down. I mean, I would call up Wayne Dyer and ask him if he'd be on our board of advisors, and he said, sure, count me in. I mean, it was crazy. Everybody wanted something to do with this amazing organization. And the magic really happened when we would give one of our parties where you had to show up as who you were going to be in 5 years. This was pretty confronting. And some of the people there, oh my gosh. We had Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen. I was sitting with them when they came up with the idea for Chicken Soup for the Soul. We had Louise Hay. She just walked in the door with her little tiny book. Dr. Susan Jeffers showed up in a limousine at this 5-year ahead party saying she'd had 3 New York Times bestsellers and she'd just returned from her tour. And she did it. She wrote Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and then 2 more books in that 5 years. Dr. Barbara DeAngelis. I mean, really, the people were so cool. It was so amazing. And it was so exciting to realize that people said that that party changed their life. Jack Canfield said at our 35th anniversary recently, he said the Chicken Soup for the Soul series wouldn't have existed without the Inside Edge. And he said, besides that, I stole Diana's idea, and I've used that 5-year ahead invitation for the closing of every single training I've ever done, ever since. What a life. And I attribute all of this knowing, this intuition, this connection to my curiosity and my wonder and awe at the human connection to the divine mystery. Scientists today are just exploring these same questions. They call it the quantum field. And they're saying that we're much more connected to all that is and to each other than we've ever known before. And they're proving that intuition is something that is really unexplainable. I mean, they've got mirror neurons and things like that. I mean, we'll never be able to understand it. But we can use it. We can tune in. We can ask the divine for what we want. We can ask it with fierceness. We can ask it just knowing that there's an answer. We can listen really, really well. So by any measure, I've had a really magical life. In 52 years, I had 56 years of marriage to 2 men, 2 romantic, soulful men who adored me and I adored them. It was the best. So grateful, so grateful. So, wealth can swell even when bank accounts shrivel. That's the kind of abundance that has always, always sustained me. So what is it that you want more magic in your life about? What do you want to understand? What is it that you'd like more clarity about? Think you could just ask and listen really well? So, even with such a magical life, I still can't tell you exactly how this magic works, but I can show you. So put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, take a deep, grateful breath, and my beautiful, magical child, come home. Come home. Thank you.